The thing about dealing blackjack at the Luxor for 6 years, 5 years. Really, since I took that 3-month sabbatical after Mom's funeral that Marcus still won't let me forget about, is you get real good at reading when someone's lying. Not about their cards, about everything else. The nervous laugh when they're betting rent money. The way their fingers drum the felt when their marriage is falling apart. The specific angle of a shoulder shrug that means they drove here from Phoenix and their wife thinks they're at a sales conference. So when Marcus texted me at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday saying he was in town for work and could we grab a drink, just the two of us, I knew 3 things immediately. He wasn't here for work, there was no just the two of us, because Marcus never did anything without his boyfriend Tyler documenting it for Instagram, and whatever he actually wanted was going to cost me money or sleep or both. I was dealing to a bachelorette party from Scottsdale. Bridesmaids in matching pink tank tops that said, "Jenny's last ride," which seemed more threatening than celebratory, when my phone buzzed again. The Luxor's floor manager, Christine, who pronounces it Christine and corrects you every single time, was 3 tables over watching me like a hawk watches a field mouse with a 401k. Technically, we're not supposed to check phones on the floor. Technically, I'm not supposed to do a lot of things. Dealer pays 18, I announced, sweeping chips toward the bride-to-be, who'd somehow pulled a winning streak despite doubling down on 13ths like she was personally offended by basic strategy. My hands moved through the familiar motions. Cards whispered across felt, chips stacked in perfect columns of 5. The little prayer I always said before revealing my whole card that nobody knew about except probably God, if he cared about blackjack dealers with bad knees and worse sleep schedules. The text said, "Ryan, seriously, I need to see you. I'm at Mandalay Bay, room 2847. Please. Please." Marcus hadn't said please to me since he was 14 and wanted to borrow my car to impress some guy from his debate team. That was 12 years ago, back when I still thought enlisting made me the responsible one, before Kandahar taught me that responsibility mostly meant holding pressure on wounds that wouldn't stop bleeding while everyone around you made decisions that turned valleys into graveyards. "You gonna deal or you having a stroke?" The bride-to-be, Jenny presumably, snapped her fingers at me. Acrylic nails like little weapons. Her friends giggled, that specific pitch of drunk girl laughter that sounds like breaking glass feels. "My apologies." I smiled the smile that Christine made us practice during orientation. The one that's supposed to convey grateful for your patronage, but mostly conveys my soul left my body in 2015 and I'm just renting the space now. Shuffled 6 decks together. Offered the cut card to a bridesmaid wearing a plastic tiara that said, "Bridesmaid bitch." Another text. Not Marcus this time. Christine. "Office. Now, don't make me come get you." Perfect. Fantastic. I love my life and all the choices that led me here. "Dealer change," I called out, stepped back from the table, waited for Tommy to slide into my spot. Tommy, who's 23 and still thinks Vegas is magical, who hasn't figured out yet that the house always wins and we're not the house, we're just the help. Poor kid. The surveillance cameras tracked me across the casino floor like mechanical vultures. Slots screamed their jackpot fanfares. The Luxor had 1,200 slot machines and I'd memorized the sound of each winning combination during my first year. Back when I thought knowing things would make them hurt less. Past the poker tables where regulars played 18-hour sessions on coffee and delusion. Past the sports book where the TVs showed baseball games from the East Coast, where it was almost 3 a.m. and nobody cared because time doesn't exist in casinos, just the eternal now of maybe this hand, maybe this spin, maybe this roll. Christine's office was next to security, which meant walking past Derek, who I'd briefly dated last summer before he introduced me to his lifestyle community. And I realized I was too vanilla and too tired for whatever that entailed. He nodded. I nodded back. Professional. Mature. 2 adults who'd seen each other naked and now worked 20 feet apart in a building designed to slowly extract hope from human beings. "Seat." Christine didn't look up from her computer. She had 3 monitors going, showing different camera angles of the casino floor. On the center screen, I could see my table, See Tommy dealing to the bachelorette party. See Jenny doubling down on another 13 because some people can't be saved from themselves. Let me guess, I said, settling into the chair that squeaked like a dying bird. The Australian guy from last Tuesday filed a complaint because I didn't laugh at his joke about kangaroos. Your brother's in the hospital. The world did that thing it does sometimes, that combat thing where all the sound gets sucked out and your vision telescopes down to a single point. I could see Christine's lips moving but couldn't hear anything except my own pulse. That familiar thunder that used to mean incoming mortars. What happened? Not a question. Statements only. Questions give the universe too much power. I don't know specifics. Security got a call from Mandalay Bay. Some kind of medical emergency in the hotel. They're asking for family. She finally looked at me, and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Actual human concern, not the manufactured casino employee version. Ryan, they're saying it's bad. They're saying a lot of people are bad. My phone buzzed. Marcus, please don't hate me. I didn't know. Tyler's bleeding from everywhere and I don't. The message cut off. I was moving before I realized I'd stood up, that combat muscle memory that never really goes away, the one that says when things go sideways you move toward the crisis, not away. Christine was saying something about procedures and waiting for official word, but I was already out the door, past Derek who called after me, but I didn't stop, across the casino floor where the slots were still screaming and the bachelorette party was still losing money, and somewhere 12 years ago my baby brother was asking to borrow my car and I was saying yes because that's what you do. You say yes, you say I'll protect you. You say nothing bad will happen. The Mandalay Bay was connected to the Luxor by a climate-controlled walkway that moved 36 miles per hour. I knew because I timed it once during a break, because I time things, because measuring makes me feel like I have control when nobody does. The walkway was empty except for me and one old guy in a Hawaiian shirt who looked lost. The moving sidewalk hummed beneath my feet. Through the windows I could see the Strip, that neon river of want and waste. All the casinos lit up like they were competing to be visible from space. The Luxor's pyramid, Mandalay Bay's golden tower, New York's fake skyline. 42 million people visited Vegas last year. I looked that up once, tried to imagine that many separate lives, that many individual disasters playing out in hotel rooms and at craps tables and in rental cars heading home broke. My phone buzzed again. Not Marcus. A number I didn't recognize. Emergency alert. Mandalay Bay quarantine protocol initiated. Remain in your current location. Do not attempt to enter or exit the building. I kept walking. The Mandalay Bay lobby was wrong. Not horror movie wrong, not blood on the walls wrong, but that specific kind of wrong that comes before the obvious horror, the wrongness of absence. It was 12:18 a.m. on a Thursday, and the lobby of a major strip casino should have been packed. Convention crowds and bachelor parties and couples having arguments about gambling budgets and life choices. Instead, maybe 30 people, all of them clustered near the exits, all of them looking at their phones with that specific expression that means bad news spreading in real time. The gold leaf ceiling, the massive aquarium behind the check-in desk, the fake palm trees that cost $40,000 each. I knew that because Tyler had mentioned it during the one family dinner we'd attempted after Marcus came out. The one where Dad spent 2 hours not talking about it while Mom overcompensated by asking Tyler about his degree in hospitality management like it was a Rhodes Scholarship. Tyler had gone on about the palms, how they were made from synthetic materials designed to last 50 years, how they cost more than most people's annual salary, how Vegas was basically a monument to expensive fakeness. I'd liked him for that. Still did, probably, even though Marcus and I hadn't spoken more than mandatory holiday texts in 8 months. Security checkpoint ahead. 2 Mandalay Bay guards in blazers that didn't quite hide the earpieces and the bulges at their waistbands. Behind them, 2 guys in different uniforms. Dark blue, patches on the shoulders. County Health Department, maybe, or private emergency response. One of them was talking rapidly into a radio. "Sir, I'm gonna need you to stop right there." The closer security guard held up a hand. Late 50s, retirement plan gut. Eyes that said he was 3 weeks from pension and didn't want to deal with whatever this was. Hotels under restricted access. My brother's a guest. Room 2847. He texted me about a medical emergency. I pulled out my phone, showed him Marcus's messages, the ones that stopped mid-sentence. The guard glanced at the phone, then at his partner, then at the health department guys. Some kind of silent communication happened, the kind that excludes civilians, the kind I used to be part of before I became the civilian. What's your name? Ryan Hale. My brother's Marcus Hale. What's happening? Mr. Hale, we're asking all non-essential personnel to return to their point of origin and await further instructions. He was reading from a script, I could tell. Probably something they handed out during whatever emergency briefing had happened while I was dealing blackjack to drunk bridesmaids. Your brother is receiving appropriate medical attention. That's not what I asked. I asked what's happening. We're not authorized to. Yo Johnson, one of the health department guys approached, 30s, Korean or maybe Chinese, name tag said K. Park. He immediate family? Says he's the brother. Park looked at me and I saw something I recognized, triage assessment. The same look combat medics get, the one that evaluates threat level and utility and expendability in about 2 seconds. I'd worn that look for 18 months in Kandahar. Apparently, I still passed whatever test it represented. Come with me, Park said, but I need you to understand something first. What I'm about to show you is covered under emergency health protocols. You see something weird, you don't film it, you don't post about it, you don't tell your friends. You understand. I was a combat medic. I know OPSEC. Something shifted in his expression. Army, Air Force, pararescue track, but I washed out after the advanced stuff. Ended up doing field medicine. Okay, good. He nodded like I'd answered a question he hadn't asked. Might need you, might not. Either way, keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. We've got a situation developing. He led me past the security checkpoint, past the normal guest elevators, toward a service corridor I'd never noticed before. The walls were that specific shade of beige that screams employees only, with pipes and conduit running along the ceiling. Our footsteps echoed wrong, too loud, like the building was holding its breath. How much do you know about hemorrhagic viruses? Park asked, not looking at me, walking fast. Ebola, Marburg. Symptoms include fever, bleeding from mucous membranes, organ failure, transmission through bodily fluids, high mortality rate. I was reciting from memory, from briefings before deployment, from the constant low-level terror of biological threats in a combat zone. Please tell me that's not what this is. I'm not telling you anything except what you need to know to get your brother and get out. We reached another elevator, this one requiring a keycard. Park swiped his, punched the button for 28. We've got 17 cases so far, all guests or employees who were in the casino level between 10 p.m. and midnight. Symptoms presented fast. Fever, confusion, hemorrhaging from eyes and nose. For casualties already. The elevator rose. My stomach didn't. That combat feeling again, that sense of time stretching and compressing simultaneously, where everything matters and nothing matters because you're already in it, whatever it is, and the only direction is forward. Source. Unknown. Could be environmental, could be deliberate. CDC's mobilizing out of Atlanta, but they're 4 hours out minimum. Meanwhile, we've got... He stopped, looked at his phone, swore. Okay, it's spreading. 23 cases now. In 30 minutes? Yeah. Park looked at me and I saw actual fear, which is why we're evacuating family members of staff and guests while we still can. Your brother's not infected. At least he wasn't when I left the floor 20 minutes ago. But his boyfriend's one of the casualties. I'm sorry. Tyler, who told me about expensive fake palm trees, who made Marcus laugh in a way I'd never managed, who sent me a card last Christmas that just said, "Thanks for trying," which somehow meant more than any of the mandatory family bullshit. The elevator opened on 28. The hallway was wrong in a different way than the lobby. Blood on the carpet. Not pools, just scattered drops and smears, like someone had walked through while bleeding from somewhere. The lights flickered, or maybe that was my vision, that tunnel focus thing that happens when adrenaline meets muscle memory. Voices from a room down the hall, crying, and beneath that a sound I recognized from Kandahar. The wet coughing that means lungs filling with fluid they shouldn't contain. Room 2847 is that way. Park pointed. Get your brother, get downstairs, get out. We're sealing the building at 0100. After that, nobody leaves until we understand what we're dealing with. What about the infected? That's not your problem. But his expression said it was everyone's problem, that this was the kind of problem that doesn't respect job descriptions or training, or the fact that I just wanted to deal cards and not think about bleeding and dying and decisions with no good options. Park. A woman's voice from down the hall, sharp with authority. We need you. The guy in 2831's coding. He ran. I didn't. Stood there in the hallway with its wrong blood and wrong sounds and tried to remember why I'd washed out of pararescue training. Why I decided I was better suited to dealing blackjack than saving lives. Something about panic attacks. Something about realizing I was good at holding pressure on wounds but terrible at deciding which wounds to prioritize when there were too many and not enough hands. The door was closed. I knocked. Marcus? It's Ryan. Silence. Then, Ryan. Voice hoarse. Wrecked. Don't come in. Don't. I'm fine. I'm not sick. But Tyler, he's... I opened the door. Hotel rooms are designed to feel like anywhere and nowhere, that specific corporate hospitality aesthetic that could be Phoenix or Dallas or Hong Kong. Mandalay Bay's rooms cost $200 to $400 per night depending on the view and the season. I knew that because I'd looked it up once when Marcus mentioned they were planning to visit, back when we were still planning things together instead of sending mandatory holiday texts that said nothing. Room 2847 had a view of the Strip. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the fake Eiffel Tower at Paris, the Bellagio fountains mid-show, the endless river of headlights on Las Vegas Boulevard. Inside, king bed, minibar, flat-screen TV showing CNN with the sound off, and my brother sitting on the floor next to the bathroom with blood on his hands and his face and his shirt. I told you not to come in. Marcus didn't look at me. 26 years old, degree in marketing from UNLV, boyfriend of 2 years who worked in event planning, little brother who used to follow me around asking questions about everything until I left for basic training and came back as someone who didn't answer questions anymore. Where's Tyler? I asked, even though I could see the bathroom door was closed and could hear something behind it that sounded like breathing but wrong, wet and labored. He locked himself in. Maybe an hour ago? He said he didn't want me to see him like this. Marcus's voice cracked. We were at the casino at the craps table. He was winning, Ryan. He was up almost $3,000 and he kept joking about how we could finally afford that trip to Japan we'd been planning. Then his nose started bleeding. Just suddenly bleeding everywhere. And his eyes. And he couldn't stop coughing. I moved toward the bathroom. Combat autopilot. Assess the casualty. Establish airway. Control bleeding. Treat for shock. Don't. Marcus grabbed my arm. The hotel staff, they said not to go in there. They said it might be contagious. They said a lot of things and then they left. They just fucking left us here. I looked at my brother. Actually looked for the first time in probably a year. He'd lost weight. His hair was different, shorter, or maybe it was just that I'd stopped paying attention to details about him after Mom's funeral. After the fight we'd had about Dad's drinking and Marcus's lifestyle choices. Dad's words? Not mine, but I'd been too tired and too angry to correct him, which made me complicit, which Marcus had pointed out in 14 separate texts before we stopped texting about anything that mattered. Marcus, I need you to listen to me. What time did Tyler's symptoms start? I don't. Maybe 11:30? We'd been playing for like 20 minutes. Has anyone else been in this room? Hotel staff, medical personnel? One security guard came by maybe 45 minutes ago. Looked through the door, said someone would come back. Nobody came back. He was shaking. Not shock, not yet, but close. What's happening, Ryan? They're saying things on the news, rumors about some kind of outbreak, but the hotel keeps making announcements that everything's under control, that it's just a precaution. The bathroom door handle rattled. We both froze. Marcus, Tyler's voice, but distorted, like speaking through fluid. Marcus, baby, I don't feel good. My brother moved toward the door. I grabbed him, pulled him back. Don't open it. That's Tyler. I can't just leave him in there. Marcus, listen to me. If this is what I think it is, if it's hemorrhagic, then exposure to bodily fluids is the primary transmission vector. Tyler locked himself in there to protect you. Don't make that meaningless. He's dying in there, alone. I know. The bathroom door rattled again, harder. Then a thud, like someone falling. Then nothing. Marcus made a sound I'd never heard him make before, something between a scream and a prayer. He tried to pull away from me, but I held on, muscle memory from restraining panicked soldiers, from situations where letting go meant someone did something stupid that got people killed. Let me go, Ryan. Let me fucking go. I can't. Why not? Because you're the responsible one? Because you were in the military, so you know better than everyone? Because I already lost you once and I'm not doing it again. The words came out before I could stop them, before I could remember that we don't talk about things, that I don't do vulnerability, that the entire point of washing out of pararescue and dealing blackjack and living in a studio apartment where I can see the Luxor's beam every night is that I don't have to feel things anymore. Marcus stopped struggling, looked at me. What are you talking about? Mom's funeral, the fight. You asked me to tell Dad that you and Tyler were serious, that you needed him to accept it, and I said it wasn't the right time. I said we should wait. You said it would upset him. Marcus's voice was flat. You said he was grieving and we should be sensitive to his feelings. Yeah. And then you didn't talk to me for 8 months except to send texts on my birthday and Christmas that said, "Hope you're well." Like I'm some fucking distant cousin you barely remember. I know. You don't know. You have no idea what it's like to. He stopped, looked at the bathroom door. Tyler's the one who told me to keep trying with you. Every time I said I was done, that you'd made your choice and I should respect that, he said family's complicated and people process grief in shitty ways and maybe you just needed time. He kept believing you'd come around. The bathroom door rattled again. Weaker this time, then quiet. My phone buzzed. Multiple alerts. Emergency alert. Mandalay Bay quarantine extended to Luxor, Delano, 4 seasons. Do not attempt to enter or exit. Text from Christine. Ryan, where are you? They're locking down the entire complex. Text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Park. Infection count at 47. We're evacuating critical staff only. If you're still in the building, you need to get to the north emergency stairs now. Text from another unknown number. Just, emergency alert. Airstrike authorized. Evacuation window closes 0400 HRS. I looked at my phone, looked at Marcus, looked at the bathroom door. We need to move, I said. Now. I'm not leaving Tyler. Tyler's gone, Marcus, or he will be soon. And if we stay here, we go with him. You don't know that. Maybe the doctors will come. Maybe they'll have a treatment. There is no treatment. There's no time. There's just, I pulled up the message, showed him. There's this. They're going to bomb the strip, Marcus. They're going to vaporize everything between here and the stratosphere to contain whatever this is. We have maybe 4 hours to get out. He read the message. Read it again. His face did something complicated, cycling through denial and acceptance and horror and resignation in the space of maybe 10 seconds. They can't just bomb Vegas. That's insane. That's what you do when you have a fast-spreading hemorrhagic virus in a tourist destination that sees 120,000 visitors per day. I was doing the math without meaning to, that combat calculation of acceptable losses versus unacceptable risks. They evacuate who they can, seal the rest, and they burn it down before it spreads beyond containment radius. The bathroom door rattled one more time, then stopped. Tyler. Marcus was crying now, properly crying, the kind of crying that sounds like it's pulling something vital out of your chest. I can't just leave him. You have to. He wouldn't leave me. I know, but he locked himself in that bathroom because he loved you more than he loved the idea of you staying with him. Don't make that choice meaningless. Marcus looked at me, looked at the bathroom door, looked at the window, at the strip, at the city that was about to become a crater. Okay, he said. Okay, but Ryan, if we make it out of this, if we survive, you don't get to disappear again. You don't get to decide I'm too complicated or too gay or too whatever excuse you've been using. We're brothers. That doesn't get to be optional. Deal? I mean it. I know. I mean it too. We left Tyler behind. We left him in that bathroom in room 2847 in the Mandalay Bay on the Las Vegas Strip. Left him bleeding from every membrane while his organs failed and his body tried to process something it was never designed to process. We left him because that's what you do in triage, in combat, in situations where staying means everyone dies and leaving means maybe someone survives. The hallway was worse than before. The thing about evacuation under quarantine is that nobody agrees on what it means. The hotel guests who'd been exposed were supposed to shelter in place. That was the official line from whatever emergency authority was making decisions in some command center somewhere. But nobody was actually enforcing shelter in place because the staff had either fled or collapsed, and the guests who could still move were moving, pouring into hallways and stairwells, and some of them were bleeding. The woman from 2839 was sitting against the wall outside her room, blood running from her nose and eyes, holding her phone with shaking hands and trying to call someone who wasn't answering. The man from 2844 was lying face down in the hallway, one hand stretched toward the elevator like he'd been trying to reach it when his legs gave out. Multiple someones actually, were screaming from rooms we passed, that specific pitch that means pain beyond language. Don't look, I told Marcus, even though I was looking, even though not looking meant you missed potential threats and missed threats meant dying. How are you so calm? Marcus kept pace with me, both of us moving fast but not running, because running in a crisis causes panic and panic causes stampedes and stampedes kill more people than the original emergency. How are you? This is insane, Ryan. People are dying and you're just… I'm not calm. I'm processing. There's a difference. We reached the emergency stairs. The door was propped open with a housekeeping cart, and I could hear voices echoing up from lower floors, people climbing or descending, hard to tell. Stay close to me. If something happens, if we get separated, head for the north side of the property. The Delano entrance. That's where they'll stage emergency evacuation if they're doing this properly. Stay close. The stairwell was concrete and industrial lighting and the specific acoustic properties that make every sound feel like it's coming from everywhere at once. We started down, 28th floor toward ground level, and almost immediately encountered people coming up. Don't go down. A middle-aged guy in a Mandalay Bay staff shirt, name tag said Rick, housekeeping. Casino levels completely infected. Security's shut the doors, but people are. They're eating each other down there, man. I swear to God. Rick. I grabbed his shoulders, made eye contact. I need you to breathe and tell me exactly what you saw. I saw people were at the craps tables and then they just started bleeding and then they started attacking people and I saw a woman bite through another woman's throat. I saw. Okay. How long ago? Maybe 20 minutes? I ran. I'm not proud of it, but I ran. You survived. That's what matters. I let him go. Keep heading up. Get to the roof if you can. They'll evacuate from there if the ground level's compromised. Rick nodded, kept climbing. We kept descending. Marcus said, he said people were eating each other. Hemorrhagic viruses can cause extreme aggression in final stages. Confusion, delirium, lashing out. Doesn't mean. Don't bullshit me. You heard what he said. Yeah, I heard. We kept going. Past more people heading up, all of them with the same story. Casino floor was chaos. Bleeding people attacking anyone who moved. Security had sealed the main exits. 14th floor. 10th floor. 6th floor. My phone buzzed. Text from Park. Hail, if you're still in the building, you're out of time. North service exit is the last extraction point. 0045 HRS final pickup. After that, you're on your own. I checked my watch. 12:38 a.m. 7 minutes to reach the north exit from our current position. Doable if the route was clear. Probably not clear. 2nd floor. 1st floor. Ground level. The door to the casino floor was propped open with a broken slot machine. One of those old-style mechanical ones. Must have weighed 200 pounds. Through the gap I could see chaos. Not the organized chaos of a busy Friday night. The real kind. Slot machines still blaring their jackpot fanfares, but nobody playing them. Craps tables overturned. Playing cards scattered across floor that was sticky with something that probably wasn't spilled drinks. And people. People bleeding from eyes and nose and mouth. People attacking other people, clawing and biting. People trying to get to the exits that were sealed with emergency barricades. People who'd already given up, lying on the floor, not moving. Holy shit, Marcus whispered. Holy actual shit. Ryan, this is... Keep moving. Don't engage. We follow the service corridor to the north exit. I pulled the door almost closed, leaving just enough gap to slip through. Stay behind me. Step where I step. If I say run, you run. What about you? I'll be right behind you. You're lying. Yeah. We entered the casino floor. The sound hit first. Slot machines and screaming and something else. Something wet and organic that my hindbrain recognized as feeding sounds. The smell hit second, blood and shit, and the specific stench of bodies giving up on biology. The visual hit third. The woman at the roulette wheel, face down on the felt, blood pooling beneath her. The man trying to crawl toward the poker tables with both legs bent wrong. The couple near the buffet entrance, holding each other while they bled out, some final gesture of intimacy before the end. And the others, the ones who were still moving, still hunting. A man in a business suit turned toward us. His eyes were completely red, hemorrhaged vessels painting his sclera the color of fresh meat. Blood ran from his nose and ears. When he opened his mouth, I could see blood on his teeth, on his tongue, running down his chin. He screamed, not words, just sound, that animal recognition of prey. Run, I said. We ran. The service corridor was 30 yards away across the main casino floor, between us and safety. Overturned slot machines, broken glass from shattered liquor bottles, scattered chips and cards, and the detritus of interrupted gambling, and approximately 15 to 20 infected people in various stages of hemorrhagic collapse. Marcus was fast, cross-country in high school, still ran marathons for charity. I was not fast, bad knees from airborne training, worse lungs from a respiratory infection in Kandahar. But I'd had training in combat movement, in how to move through a hot zone without drawing attention, without triggering pursuit responses in people whose higher brain functions had been replaced by virus-driven aggression. Steady pace, no sudden movements, eyes on the exit. The businessman charged us. Combat autopilot. Assess threat, identify weak points, execute minimum necessary force. He was hemorrhaging, which meant weakened, which meant blood pressure dropping, which meant... I sidestepped, let him stumble past, shoved him into an overturned slot machine. He went down, didn't get back up. "Keep moving," I told Marcus, who'd stopped to stare. "Don't think about it." We made it another 10 yards before the next one came at us. A woman in a cocktail waitress uniform, her serving tray still somehow clutched in one hand, her face a mask of blood and exposed muscle where she'd clawed her own skin off. She swung the tray at Marcus. I intercepted, took the hit on my forearm, felt something crack that was either the tray or my bone. Didn't matter. Pushed her back, kept moving. The service corridor door was right there. 10 yards, 5 yards. Someone grabbed my ankle. I went down hard, concrete floor meeting my shoulder in a way that suggested future pain, current numbness. Looked back. The dealer from my training class, Tommy, who was 23 and thought Vegas was magical. His name tag was still on. His eyes were gone, just red holes hemorrhaging continuously. He was trying to pull himself up my leg, trying to reach my throat with hands that shook with viral-induced tremors. Ryan! Marcus was at the corridor door, holding it open, torn between escape and staying. "Go!" I kicked at Tommy's head, caught him in the temple, broke his grip, rolled away, got to my feet, ran the last 5 yards and through the door that Marcus slammed behind us. The service corridor was concrete and industrial lighting and momentarily empty. Both of us breathing hard. Marcus crying. Me trying not to think about Tommy's face, about how I'd trained him to shuffle cards and now I'd killed him and how that was supposed to make sense somehow. My phone buzzed. "Park, where are you?" "Service corridor. Ground level. Heading to north exit." "Okay, move fast. Extraction team leaves in 3 minutes with or without you." Marcus said, "What about everyone else? All those people in the casino, in the hotel rooms?" "They're already dead, Marcus. They just haven't stopped moving yet." I checked my watch.
12:42 nachts.
"Come on." We moved through the service corridor, past storage rooms and employee break rooms and industrial kitchens where food was still cooking on grills nobody was tending. The north exit was marked with illuminated signs every 20 feet. "This way to north entrance." Helpful, except the corridor turned corners and went up and down stairs and past junction points where you could go 3 different directions and only one was correct. We ran. Around a corner, down a service corridor, past an emergency exit that opened onto a loading dock where delivery trucks usually parked. The door was propped open with a fire extinguisher. Through it I could see night air, freedom, the parking structure across the access road. And Park standing next to a Mandalay Bay security van with its engine running, checking his watch. "That's our ride," I said. We burst through the door into Vegas night air that felt like coming up from deep water. The strip was visible from here, all those neon monuments to excess and fantasy, and above them, helicopters, military birds, Black Hawks probably, circling in holding patterns. Waiting. Park saw US, waved us over. "You're cutting it real close, Hale. Get in." The van's back doors were open. Inside, maybe 8 other people, mix of hotel staff and guests, all of them looking shell-shocked and grateful and like they were trying not to think about everyone they'd left behind. Marcus climbed in. I hesitated. "What's the extraction route?" I asked Park. "North on Las Vegas Boulevard to the checkpoint at Sahara. They're setting up a decontamination station, medical screening, the whole FEMA protocol." "And after that?" "After that's not my problem. I got orders to extract essential personnel and immediate family, get them to processing, move on to the next location." He checked his watch again. "Which I need to do in about 90 seconds if I want to make the last convoy out." I looked at the van, looked at Marcus, who was watching me through the open doors with an expression I couldn't quite read. Looked back at the hotel, at the pyramid of the Luxor next door where Christine was probably still in her office watching security monitors, where Derek was probably trying to maintain some semblance of order, where 1,200 slot machines were still screaming their jackpot fanfares for players who'd never collect. "How many people you estimate are still in there?" I asked. "In Mandalay Bay? Maybe 300 guests, 150 staff. Luxor's got another 500 combined. Delano for seasons." He stopped. "Why are you asking?" "Because in 4 hours they're going to vaporize everyone who's still inside." Yeah, that's what quarantine protocols mean when you're dealing with a fast-spreading hemorrhagic virus in a densely populated area. You contain, you evacuate who you can, and you sterilize. It's ugly, but it's necessary. Is it? I could hear my own voice going flat, that combat medic flatness that means you're looking at a triage situation where the math doesn't add up and someone has to decide who gets saved and who gets left. 650 people who aren't infected yet. 650 people who just made the mistake of working or staying in the wrong building on the wrong night. "Hale," Park put a hand on my shoulder. "I know what you're thinking. I know that medic instinct that says everyone's savable. But we don't have time, we don't have resources, and we don't have a way to know who's infected and who's not until they're already bleeding. The call's been made. The bombers are already fueled and ready. We extract who we can and we accept the rest." "Ryan." Marcus was at the van door now. "Get in, please. Tyler's dead. Mom's dead. Dad's dad. You're all I have left. Don't make me lose you too because you've got some hero complex about saving people who are probably already infected. They're not all infected. Maybe not, but you can't save them all." "I know." "Then why are you hesitating?" Good question. Why was I hesitating? Because of Christine, who corrected everyone about how to pronounce her name? Because of Derek and his lifestyle community? Because of Tommy, who was 23 and dead now because I'd kicked him in the head? Or because of the 650 people whose names I didn't know, who'd come to Vegas to gamble or work or escape their normal lives and were about to die in a fuel air explosion because that's what you do when the math doesn't work out, when containment trumps compassion? "Ryan," Marcus was crying again. "Please." I looked at Park. "The fuel air strike. What's the blast radius?" "Classified. But you can probably guess. They'll want to ensure complete thermal saturation of all connected structures. So Mandalay Bay, Luxor, Delano, Four Seasons probably takes out New York, and Excalibur too, just for good measure. Maybe the north end of the MGM. Jesus. Yeah, like I said, ugly but necessary. Now get in the fucking van." I got in the van. Park slammed the doors, moved to the driver's seat, put the vehicle in gear. We rolled out of the loading dock area, onto the service road, heading north away from the strip. Through the rear windows I could see the Luxor's pyramid getting smaller, that beam of light shooting straight up into the night sky, visible from space probably, a monument to human ambition and excess and the absolute certainty that nothing bad could ever happen here. Marcus sat next to me on the bench seat. Didn't say anything, just sat there crying quietly, which was worse somehow than if he'd been angry or accusatory or anything other than grieving. "I'm sorry about Tyler," I said, "because what else do you say?" "I know. I'm sorry that we didn't. I know." He wiped his eyes. "You came when I called. That's something. Thank you." The van made a turn onto Las Vegas Boulevard proper. Traffic was backed up, people trying to flee despite the quarantine. Probably news spreading on social media faster than official channels could manage. Park hit the siren. The van had a siren apparently, and people moved slowly, reluctantly, the way people move when they can't quite believe the emergency is real. Someone in the back of the van was praying. Someone else was on their phone trying to reach family members who weren't answering. The hotel employee, a housekeeper, older woman, maybe 60, was just staring at her hands like they held answers they didn't. We passed the MGM Grand, the Tropicana, the Showcase Mall with its giant Coca-Cola bottle. All of it still lit up, still operational, People still inside living their lives unaware that 4 miles south their colleagues and neighbors were bleeding out or being sealed in or counting down the hours until military hardware turned the strip into a crater. The checkpoint at Sahara Avenue was exactly what you'd expect. Military vehicles, portable barriers, personnel in hazmat suits with thermal scanners and clipboards, and that specific combination of efficiency and barely contained panic that comes with managing a crisis nobody trained for. Park pulled up to the checkpoint, rolled down his window, had a brief conversation with someone in a full NBC suit. Then we were waved through into a parking lot that had been converted into a temporary processing center. "Everybody out," Park called. "You'll be processed through decontamination, given medical screening, held for observation for 72 hours minimum. After that, if you're clean, you're free to go. If you're not..." He didn't finish that sentence. Didn't need to. We filed out of the van. The parking lot was full of similar vehicles, each one disgorging traumatized hotel staff and lucky guests. Maybe 200 people total, which meant what? That out of roughly 40,000 people in the quarantine zone, they'd managed to extract 200? Less than 1%. A woman in a hazmat suit approached us with a clipboard. "Names and room numbers or employee IDs, please. We need to establish timelines for potential exposure." Marcus gave his information, gave Tyler's information, voice breaking when he said, "Deceased, room 2847. The woman noted it down without expression, moved to the next person. My turn. Ryan Hale, employee, Luxor Casino, blackjack dealer. When did you last have direct contact with potentially infected individuals? Approximately 20 minutes ago. Nature of contact? Physical. Multiple exposures. One casualty engaged in close quarters. I made contact defending myself and my brother." She looked up from her clipboard. "You'll need to go through enhanced screening. Follow the red line to tent 3. Wait." Marcus grabbed my arm. "What does enhanced screening mean?" "It means he had high-risk exposure. We need to monitor him more closely." The woman's expression softened slightly. "It doesn't mean he's infected. It just means we need to be sure." "How sure?" 72 hours sure." Marcus looked at me. "You said you'd be right behind me." I am. "You said we were brothers and that doesn't get to be optional." "It's not. I'm not going anywhere." I pulled him into a hug, felt him shaking against my chest. 72 hours. Then we figure out whatever comes next. Together. I promise. "You better not die on me, Ryan. You better not fucking die." "I'll do my best." They separated us. Marcus to the standard processing tent, me to enhanced screening, which turned out to be a converted tour bus with medical equipment and 4 other people who'd had close contact with infected individuals. We stripped, showered in chemical decontamination solution that smelled like industrial bleach and failure, put on hospital scrubs, got blood drawn and temperatures taken, and had our eyes checked for hemorrhaging and our throats checked for lesions. Then we waited. The bus had windows that looked out onto the parking lot, onto the checkpoint, onto Las Vegas Boulevard heading south toward the Strip. I sat in a seat near the back and watched helicopters circle in the distance. Watched military vehicles arrive with more survivors. Watched the sky start to lighten in the east, that pre-dawn gray that comes before sunrise. My phone still worked. Had messages from Christine and Derek and numbers I didn't recognize, all asking the same questions. "Where are you? Are you safe? What's happening? Is it true about the bombing?" I texted Christine, "Made it out. Enhanced screening. Check in when I can." Texted Derek, "Alive. Sorry about everything. Hope you made it out too." Didn't text my father. Couldn't think of what to say that would matter. 3:47 a.m. 13 minutes until whatever aircraft they'd scrambled for this arrived on station and started their bombing run. Somewhere in Mandalay Bay, room 2847, Tyler's body was still in that bathroom, locked behind a door he'd closed to save Marcus. Somewhere in the Luxor, Tommy's body was lying on the casino floor next to an overturned slot machine. Somewhere in the quarantine zone, 650 people, minus the 200 we'd extracted, so 450 people, were either infected and dying or healthy and praying or somewhere in between. The woman sitting across from me in the bus said, "You think they'll really do it? Bomb the strip?" "Yeah," I said. "I think they'll really do it." My daughter works at New York, New York. She didn't answer her phone. "I'm sorry." "Yeah." She looked out the window. "Me too." 3:52 a.m. 8 minutes. Through the window, I could see Marcus in the processing tent, sitting on a folding chair, looking at his phone, looking at nothing, looking like someone who'd lost the person he loved most and was trying to figure out how to keep breathing anyway. I knew that look, wore it myself after Mom's funeral, after Kandahar, after every time I'd held pressure on a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding while someone died under my hands.
3:56 nachts.
For minutes. The helicopters changed their pattern, moved farther north, clearing the blast radius. That's how I knew it was real, that this was actually happening. You can fake a lot of things, but you can't fake military birds moving out of danger.
3:59 nachts.
1 minute. I found myself thinking about Tyler talking about those fake palm trees, about how they cost $40,000 each and were designed to last 50 years, about how Vegas was basically a monument to expensive fakeness, to the idea that if you build something beautiful enough and bright enough and impossible enough, people will come from all over the world just to touch it for a moment, to pretend they're part of something extraordinary.
4 Uhr nachts.
The flash came first, visible even from 6 miles away, a light so bright it turned the pre-dawn darkness into noon for maybe 2 seconds. Then the sound, that rolling thunder that shook the tour bus and set off car alarms in the parking lot. Then the mushroom cloud, smaller than nuclear but still wrong, still something that shouldn't exist in a city, in a place where people lived and worked and loved. Then nothing, just the sky turning orange and red where the strip used to be. Someone in the bus started praying. Someone else started crying. The woman across from me just kept staring out the window, kept looking at where her daughter used to be alive. I texted Marcus, "I'm okay. You okay?" The response came immediately, "Define okay." Still breathing, still here. Then yeah, "I'm okay." They kept us in observation for 72 hours exactly. 3 days in a converted hotel north of the blast zone, the Marriott on Convention Center Drive, which hadn't been damaged by the fuel air strike but had been evacuated anyway, just in case. They'd turned it into a temporary medical facility, each room holding 2 to 4 people depending on exposure level and symptom monitoring requirements. I shared a room with the woman whose daughter had worked at New York, New York. Her name was Patricia. She was 56, worked in hotel maintenance at the Palazzo, had lived in Vegas for 20 years. Her daughter's name was Amy. She was 23, the same age as Tommy. We didn't talk much. Mostly we just existed in the same space, getting our temperatures taken every 6 hours, giving blood samples twice a day, watching the news coverage that showed aerial footage of where the strip used to be. The fuel air bomb had worked exactly as designed. Thermal saturation complete. Everything from the Mandalay Bay north to New York was gone. Not damaged, gone. Just blackened concrete and twisted metal and heat signatures that would probably glow on thermal cameras for weeks. The news estimated 400 to 600 casualties, people who hadn't made it to evacuation points or had been too infected to move or had just been in the wrong place when the countdown hit 0. CDC confirmed the virus on day 2. Novel hemorrhagic pathogen, origin unknown, transmission through bodily fluids, mortality rate approximately 93% in untreated cases. No cure yet, but they were working on it. Always working on it. They found Tyler's body on day 3, listed as casualty number 187, room 2847, Mandalay Bay. The identification process was mostly dental records and DNA since the thermal strike had, I didn't read the rest of that report. Didn't need the details. Marcus and I texted constantly during those 3 days. Stupid stuff mostly. Memories of mom. Questions about dad. Updates on our medical screening. He was in a different observation facility. They'd separated immediate family in case of infection chains, somewhere near the airport. He sent me a photo of his room, told me the coffee was terrible, asked if I was sleeping. I wasn't sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Tommy's face, saw those red holes where his eyes used to be, saw my boot connecting with his temple, saw Tyler's bathroom door, heard it rattling, saw the flash at 4 a.m. turning darkness into temporary daylight. Patricia didn't sleep either. Sometimes I'd wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. and see her sitting by the window, looking south toward where the strip used to be, where Amy used to be alive. On the 4th day, they released us. Clean blood work, no fever, no signs of hemorrhagic symptoms. We were survivors, that's what the discharge paperwork said. Survivors of the Las Vegas Strip outbreak. Like it was a designation, a category, something that would follow us forever. Congratulations. The doctor who signed my release papers said, "You're extremely lucky." "Yeah," I said. "I feel real lucky." They gave us each $500 in emergency funds, vouchers for temporary housing, information about FEMA assistance and victim compensation programs. They gave us pamphlets about survivors' guilt and PTSD and support groups. They gave us everything except Tyler and Amy and Tommy and the 450 other people who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Marcus was waiting for me in the lobby of the Marriott. For days unshaven, wearing donated clothes that didn't quite fit, looking like he'd aged 5 years in 72 hours. We hugged, didn't say anything for a while, didn't need to. "They found Tyler's body," he said eventually. "I know.
I'm sorry.
They said we can claim the remains once the investigation's complete. Maybe another week, maybe longer." His voice was flat, processing information without processing emotion. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information." "You don't have to do anything yet." Dad called. He wants us to come stay with him in Phoenix. Says he's worried. Says family should be together during crisis. "Do you want to go?" "I don't know what I want." Marcus looked out the window at the parking lot, at the rental cars and emergency vehicles and news vans. Tyler and I were supposed to go to Japan next spring. We had it all planned out, Tokyo, Kyoto, 2 weeks we'd been saving for almost a year. And now he's dead and I'm alive and I don't know why. Because he locked himself in the bathroom. Because he loved you more than he loved the idea of you staying with him. That doesn't make it fair.
No.
It doesn't. We stood there in the lobby while people moved around us. Other survivors getting discharged, medical staff changing shifts, news crews trying to get interviews. The world kept moving like it always does, like horror and loss and fuel airstrikes are just temporary disruptions in the regular schedule. "I got us a hotel room," Marcus said. "North side of town, far from everything. 2 beds. Figured we could, I don't know, figure out what comes next. Together, like you promised." "Yeah, okay." The hotel was a La Quinta Inn off I-15, the kind of place that business travelers use when their company won't spring for the Marriott. Clean, functional, anonymous. We checked in, got our room keys, carried our donated clothing bags up to the 2nd floor. The room had 2 beds, a TV, a bathroom with a shower that actually had decent water pressure. Through the window, I could see the freeway, the mountains in the distance, the afternoon sun turning everything gold and harsh. Marcus sat on one bed. I sat on the other. "What happens now?" he asked. "I don't know. We wait for Tyler's remains. We figure out the funeral arrangements. We do whatever comes after crisis." "And then what? You go back to dealing blackjack?" "I go back to..." He stopped. "The marketing firm I worked for was in the MGM Grand. That's gone too. My job's gone. Tyler's job's gone. Our apartment was near UNLV, so at least that's still there, but I don't think I can go back there. Too many memories. You could come stay with me. Studio apartment near the Stratosphere. Well, near where the Stratosphere used to be. Might be gone too. I haven't checked. I pulled out my phone, searched for news about collateral damage. Okay, Stratosphere's still there. So my apartment's probably still there. It's small, but... Ryan. Yeah. Thank you for coming when I called. For not leaving me in that hotel room. For being my brother even when I didn't make it easy. You don't have to thank me for that.
Yeah, Ido.
Because you had 8 months to call me, to text me something real, to show up in any way that mattered, and you didn't. And then when it actually mattered, when everything went to shit, you came. So yeah, thank you. I didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to explain that I'd spent 8 months being too afraid and too tired and too aware of my own failures to reach out. Because reaching out meant admitting I'd been wrong, and admitting I'd been wrong meant acknowledging all the ways I'd failed Mom and Marcus and myself. I should have called sooner, I said. I should have. There's a lot of things I should have done differently. Yeah, but you showed up when it counted. That's something. Marcus lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling. Tyler always said you would. Said you were just processing in your own broken way. Said I should be patient. He was always better at being patient than me. He was a good person. Yeah, he was. We lay there in our separate beds, in that anonymous hotel room, while the sun moved across the sky and the afternoon turned into evening. At some point Marcus fell asleep, actual sleep, the kind that comes from emotional exhaustion finally winning over adrenaline. I didn't sleep, just lay there thinking about Tommy and Tyler and the 450 people who died because someone had brought a hemorrhagic virus to a casino on a Thursday night. Thinking about the woman at the roulette wheel face down on the felt. Thinking about Marcus saying, "You showed up when it counted." Thinking about how luck and probability weren't the same thing, how you could calculate odds all day long but still end up bleeding out on a casino floor or locked in a bathroom trying to save someone you loved or dealing blackjack while your brother slowly gave up on you. My phone buzzed. Text from Christine. "Just saw you're alive. Thank God. Most of the dealers didn't make it out. Derek's gone. Tommy's gone. Whole floor is just gone. Not sure what happens to the survivors. Caesars Entertainment is talking about compensation packages and relocation options. We'll keep you posted." Text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Park. Glad you made it. Sorry about your brother's boyfriend. For what it's worth, you did good work in there. Most civilians would have panicked. Let me know if you need anything." I didn't respond to either message. Just lay there in the dark while Marcus slept and Las Vegas tried to figure out how to be a city with a crater where its heart used to be. Around midnight, Marcus woke up. "Ryan." "Yeah." I keep thinking about Tyler locked in that bathroom, about how the last thing I said to him was, "I'll be right back. Baby, I'm just going to get security." And then I never went back. I left him there. You didn't leave him. You survived. That's what he wanted. How do you know? Because that's what love looks like sometimes. Not the romantic bullshit, the real kind. The kind that locks itself in a bathroom so the person it loves most has a chance to get out alive. Marcus was quiet for a while. Then, in Afghanistan, did you have to make choices like that? About who to save and who to? Yeah. How do you live with it? Badly, mostly. You have nightmares and panic attacks and you deal blackjack at the Luxor because it's mindless and it doesn't require you to make decisions about who lives and who dies. And you don't call your brother for 8 months because admitting you failed him means admitting you failed everyone. And that's too much weight to carry. But you came when I called. Yeah. Why? Because you said please. Because Tyler died protecting you and I wasn't going to make that meaningless by letting you die too. Because I stopped. tried to figure out how to articulate something I barely understood myself. Because sometimes you get a chance to not fail someone, and you take it, even if it's terrifying, even if you're not sure you deserve it. Marcus got up, crossed the room, sat on the edge of my bed. I'm glad you came. Me too. What happens tomorrow? We wake up, we figure out breakfast. We start making phone calls about Tyler's funeral arrangements. We call Dad and tell him we're okay, but we're not coming to Phoenix yet, we need time. We do the next right thing and then the thing after that, and we keep doing that until it feels like living again instead of just surviving. That sounds exhausting. Yeah, but we'll do it together. Brothers. Not optional. Not optional, Marcus agreed. He stayed sitting on the edge of my bed for a while, both of us quiet, both of us processing everything that had happened and everything that would never happen now. Eventually, he went back to his own bed. Eventually, we both fell asleep, the kind of sleep that comes when your body finally overrides your brain and demands rest whether you're ready or not. I dreamed about Tyler and Tommy and the woman at the roulette wheel. Dreamed about Marcus at 14 asking to borrow my car. Dreamed about the flash at 4 a.m., that terrible light that turned darkness into temporary daylight and erased everything except the survivors who'd gotten lucky enough to be somewhere else when the countdown hit 0. When I woke up, Marcus was already awake, sitting by the window, looking at his phone. The morning sun was coming through the curtains, turning everything gold and harsh, same as yesterday, same as tomorrow. "Hey," I said. "Hey." He didn't look up from his phone. They released the official casualty list. 473 confirmed dead. 212 survivors like us. The rest they're still identifying.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. He finally looked at me. You know what the worst part is? I keep thinking about how Tyler was up almost $3,000 at that craps table. How he was so happy, kept joking about Japan, about how the universe was finally giving us a break. And then the universe reminded us it doesn't give breaks, just temporary reprieves. That's a depressing way to look at it. Yeah, but it's true. Marcus put down his phone. Okay, so what's the next right thing? Coffee. Definitely coffee. Then we'll figure out the rest. Sounds good. We got coffee from the lobby. Terrible hotel coffee that tasted like burnt optimism, and sat in the parking lot watching traffic on I-15. Watching the world continue like it always does, like 473 dead people were just a statistic, a tragedy, a thing that happened to other people in other places until suddenly it happens to you. Ryan, Marcus said. Yeah. Thank you. For all of it. For coming. For staying. For not disappearing again. That's what brothers do. Is it? Yeah, when they're not being idiots about it, which I was, for 8 months. But I'm trying to be less of an idiot now. Marcus smiled, small, sad, but real. I appreciate that. We finished our coffee, made phone calls, started figuring out funeral arrangements and victim compensation forms and all the administrative requirements that come after crisis. We called Dad and told him we'd come to Phoenix eventually, but not yet. We needed time, we needed to do this our way. He didn't understand, but he accepted it, which was close enough. That night, we went back to my apartment near the Stratosphere. Still standing, still intact, still the same studio apartment where I'd spent 8 months not calling my brother. Marcus looked around at the bare walls and the minimal furniture and the view of where the Luxor's pyramid used to be. "This is depressing," he said. "Yeah, I know. We should get you some decorations. Maybe a plant or something. I kill plants. Then a fake plant, like those palm trees Tyler was always talking about." Yeah, okay, a fake plant. We can do that. And we did. The next day we went to a Target and bought a fake plant and some posters and sheets that weren't the ones I'd been using for 6 years. Small things. Normal things. The kind of things that slowly build up until someday, maybe not soon, maybe not for years, the weight of survival becomes lighter than the weight of grief. Tyler's funeral was 2 weeks later. Small service, just family and close friends. Marcus spoke. I couldn't find the words that would mean anything compared to what Tyler had done. Locking himself in that bathroom, choosing Marcus's survival over his own comfort in dying. After the funeral, Marcus and I drove back to my apartment and sat on the couch and didn't say anything for a long time. "What now?" Marcus asked eventually. "Now we keep going. We figure out jobs and apartments and how to live in a city that's half gone. We call each other when we need to. We show up. We try to be the kind of brothers Tyler thought we could be. Think we can manage that? I don't know, but we're going to try." "Yeah," Marcus said. "Okay, we're going to try." And we did. Are still trying, actually. 6 months later, living in the same apartment because it turns out neither of us wants to be alone right now. Both working jobs that aren't what we planned but pay the bills. Marcus does remote marketing for a company in Austin. I work security at one of the surviving casinos up north, which is as close as I can get to the Strip without having panic attacks. We still have nightmares. We still see therapists. We still carry the weight of surviving when 473 people didn't. But we show up for each other. We call when we need to. We keep Tyler's memory alive by trying to be better than we were before he locked himself in that bathroom and made the choice that saved Marcus's life. That's not a happy ending, but it's an honest one. And in Vegas, where the house always wins and luck is just probability wearing a pretty dress, honest endings are the best we can hope for.